The shirt collar. There was once a fine gentleman whose entire worldly possessions consisted of a bootjack and a hairbrush. But he had the most beautiful shirt collar in the world, and it was about this that we are going to hear a story. This shirt collar was so old that he began to think about marrying, and it happened one day that he and a garter came into the same washtub together. "Hello," said the shirt collar. "Never before have I seen anything so slim and delicate, so elegant and pretty. May I be permitted to ask your name?" "I shan't tell you," said the garter. "Where is the place of your abode?" asked the shirt collar. But the garter was a bashful disposition and did not think it proper to answer. "Perhaps you are a girdle?" said the collar. "An undergirdle, for I see that you are for use as well as for ornaments, my pretty miss." "You ought not to think of me," said the garter. "I'm sure I haven't given you any encouragement." "When anyone as beautiful as you," said the shirt collar, "it is not encouragement enough." "Go away, don't come so close," said the garter. "You seem to be a gentleman." "So I am, and a very fine one too," said the shirt collar. "I possess a bootjack and a hairbrush." This was not true, as his master actually owned these things, but he was a terrible boaster. "Don't come so close," said the garter. "I'm not accustomed to such treatment." "What affectation," said the shirt collar. And then they were taken out to the washtub, starched, and hung on a chair in the sun to dry, and then laid on an ironing board. Then came the glowing iron. "Mistress Widow," said the shirt collar, "dear Mistress Widow, I am becoming another man. All my creases are coming out. You're burning a hole in me. Stop! Oh, I implore you." "You rag," said the iron, traveling proudly on the shirt collar, for it was thought that a steam engine, and it ought to be stationed drawing trucks. "Rag," it said. The shirt collar was rather frayed out at the edge, so the scissors came out and cut off the threads. "Oh," said the shirt collar, "you must be a dancer. How high can you kick? That is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. No man can imitate you." "I know that," said the scissors. "You ought to be a duchess," said the collar. "My worldly possessions consist of a fine gentleman, a bootjack, and a hairbrush. If only I had a duchy." "What? He wants to marry me?" said the scissors, and she was so angry that she gave the collar a sharp snip, so that it had to be cast aside as good for nothing. "Well, I suppose I shall have to propose to the hairbrush," thought the shirt collar. "It really is wonderful. What fine hair you have, madam. Have you ever thought of marrying?" "Yes, that I have," said the hairbrush. "I am engaged to the bootjack." "Engaged!" exclaimed the shirt collar. Now there was no one else he could marry, so he took to despising matrimony. Time passed, and the shirt collar came to a rag bag to the paper mill. There was a large assortment of rags, the fine ones in one heap, and the coarse ones in another, as they should be. They had all much to tell, but no one more than the shirt collar, for he was a hopeless braggart. "I have had a terrible number of love affairs," he said. "They give me no peace. I am such a fine gentleman, so stiff with starch. I had a bootjack and a hairbrush which I never used. You should have seen me then. Never shall I forget my first love. She was a girdle, so delicate, soft, and pretty, but she threw herself into a washtub for my sake. Then there was a widow who glowed with love for me, but I left her alone till she became black. Then there was the dancer who inflicted the wound on me such that caused me to be here now. She was very violent. My own hairbrush was in love with me and had lost all her hair in the consequence. Yes, I've experienced much in that line, but I grieve most for all for the girdle, who threw herself into the wash tub. I have much on my conscience. It is high time for me to become white paper. And so he did. He became white paper, the very paper on which this story is printed. And that was because he had boasted so terribly about things which were not true. We should take this to heart, so that it may not happen to us, for we cannot indeed tell if we may someday come to the bag rag, and made into white paper on which will be printed our whole history, even the most secret parts, so that we too go about the world relating it, like the shirt collar.